Find out.
Well, Anderson, you know, the Johnsons really wanted to get some details from that video, that blurry video you just showed, about how this investigation was handled. They say it was bungled at best, used as a cover-up at the very worst. Well, we now have details from an official on the scene, the coroner, Bill Watson, about that investigation. Here it is. It's coroner's death investigation report. I'm going to read from it. He writes, "The investigative climate was very poor to worse when I arrived on the scene. The body had been noticeably moved. The scene had been compromised, and there was no cooperation from law enforcement at the scene." He goes on to say, Anderson, that information necessary for my lawful investigation was withheld. Now, this is one version of the coroner's death investigation report. This is another. This one was sent to us as a result of an open records request from the coroner's office, and it's signed and dated. This copy was given to us in May by the sheriff's office, and again last week as a result of that law enforcement. It does not have the description that I just read, nor is it signed by the coroner. Two versions of the same report.
Wait a minute. I have not heard of that. This is stunning. There are two different versions of the same document, and the official one that the police and others have given you doesn't have any of what the coroner said about compromised crime scenes, about lack of cooperation from law enforcement. It's basically a completely kind of whitewashed version. Is that right?
Exactly. There are two versions, and the version that does not have the description was given to us twice by the sheriff's office. Initially when we asked for documents in May, and then again just last week as a result of that law enforcement. So, of course, we called the attorney who represents both the sheriff and the coroner to ask, well, is the description true? Which information was withheld? Why are there two versions? And what's the response from the sheriff's office? Well, this is the statement he sent us as a response to our request. I'm going to read it to you. "In light of the U.S. Attorney's review of this matter, the Lowndes County Sheriff and the Lowndes County Coroner will not comment further on this case. They will fully cooperate and respond to all inquiries of the United States Attorney." So no response, and an indication they won't be responding to our questions in the future.
I mean, the best possible explanation, just I can think of off the top of my head, is that they're basically just trying to cover their incompetent investigation, according to the coroner. But then you could also say that they're actually trying to hide something beyond just an incompetent investigation.
Well, once we found these two documents and saw the differences, again, this just given to us last week, and this one in just a few days as well, two versions, but we wanted to give them the opportunity to explain.
Sure.
No explanation offered.
The hours of surveillance video you talked about that the family has asked a judge to get involved with, how so? I mean, how do they want that?
Well, the attorneys say that they believe that this video has been tampered with. They believe it's been edited, and that one angle that shows the mat in the corner, they believe that has been intentionally blurred. You can't see the tops of the mats. Of course, that's where they say that Kendrick climbed in. They are planning to file a lawsuit to ask a judge to take custody of the original hard drive from the school district so that they can hire a forensic expert in computers to determine if it's been tampered, if there are elements that were recorded and were either edited or omitted in the passage of this information to the sheriff's office, and then, of course, to the family and to CNN.
Well, I mean, we don't know any evidence about editing on these tapes, but clearly editing of those documents, you have two different documents. I mean, that's just stunning to me. I'm amazed by that.
Now, and what are the new developments?
Well, what's going on is the fight continue to push for justice for Kendrick, and the judges tried to threaten us about trying to stop us from adding the GBI to Kendrick's case. And she threatened us. She said, well, I just dismissed the whole case. She said, I told y'all not to add the GBI, but we can't not add the GBI because the GBI is the one who enabled this lie. So we have to push for justice for everyone, not just part of them, but for everyone.
And I want to remind Black people in America just who the GBI is. That's the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. But that's the same Georgia Bureau of Investigation that lied to the whole country and the world and said that Wayne Williams was responsible for all of those black boys and children being murdered in Atlanta in the early 80s. Even when the Georgia Bureau of Investigation had detectives to come forward and admit after they retired that the Ku Klux Klan was involved in killing those black children, and yet the Georgia Bureau of Investigation refused to turn over actual evidence that named what Klan members were involved. So I'm not shocked, Mr. Johnson, when you speak about the GBI and why they want to protect the GBI in the state of Georgia. They have a long history of turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to the cause of justice for African American people. And this judge threatened you. What's this judge's name?
Mm, I can't call her name right off the top of my head, but I just can't call her name right off the top.
Do you remember the court number, the courtroom, or what building?
No, it's the U.S. It's the district court in Atlanta.
So it's the U.S. District Federal Court in Atlanta.
Yes.
And the problem with these federal court judges, they're lifetime appointed judges. So they
Yes.
don't have to seek elections. So they really don't bow to the will of the people.
Yes.
Tell us about the new affidavit, the new evidence that came forward from a sworn affidavit in this case, where one young man gave a sworn affidavit that spoke about one of the prime suspects in the death of Kendrick Johnson confessing to the murder.
And someone in that in on the other side of the defendant's side, they gave him a lie detector test and swore up and down that he was lying. And so after he passed the polygraph test, and the lady tried to apologize to him, saying he was lying, and so after he passed the polygraph test, they just dropped it. They didn't mention it anymore.
So this gentleman came forth and said that one of the prime suspects confessed it to him and gave him details.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, they had arrested him too.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, they had arrested him too.
And this was after he was arrested after giving the sworn affidavit.
Yes. Yes.
And this gentleman was willing to take a lie detector test.
Yes.
And passed the lie detector test. But
Yes.
at first they tried to lie and say he didn't pass it.
Yes.
To try to ruin his credibility. And then
Yes.
they wanted to turn around and apologize to him for making a mistake, saying he didn't pass, that he actually passed. And now they want to apologize. But this is after you put him in jail to hide him away, to shut him up, to intimidate him, to frighten him. And yet there are several witnesses that have come forth stating that they were threatened and they were intimidated to shut up and not speak in this case.
Yes. And he was not the only one who they arrested. They arrested another man named oh man, I can't call his name right off the top of my head. His last name is Chalmers.
Go ahead.
I know his last name is Chalmers. They arrested him too, and held him in jail for a while until he agreed to change his story.
Wow. They put him in jail and
Yes.
held him there until he agreed to change his story.
Yes.
So there are two men in the Kendrick Johnson case. One who gave a sworn affidavit, took a lie detector test and passed. They quickly put this man in jail and hid him away. Another gentleman came forth who was a witness to what took place with Kendrick Johnson. They took him, created a reason to put him in jail and told him, you'll stay in jail until you change your story. And he was forced to change his story to get out of jail.
Yes.
There is a serious conspiracy to cover up the murder of Kendrick Johnson. We don't believe young Kendrick Johnson rolled himself up in a wrestling mat and died from asphyxiation. We do not believe that. Daddy, I know you don't believe it. We're asking the men and women of America to get back involved with this case. We're calling on God-fearing men and women to volunteer their time and their efforts to lead a movement for answers and true answers and a real investigation in the Kendrick Johnson case. We're asking you to go to the KJ Foundation and email your support. Go to the KJ Foundation. Leave your information if you're willing to volunteer and become a part of this movement for justice for Kendrick Johnson. The Kendrick Johnson Foundation is alive and well. And if you want to volunteer, if you want to participate, if you want to help be a part of this movement for justice for Kendrick Johnson, go to the KJ Foundation, leave your contact information, and we assure you someone will reach back out to you. If you want to leave a tip, if you want to leave some information that you were too afraid to share with law enforcement, if you were threatened to keep your mouth closed like others have been in this case, we want you to reach out to the KJ Foundation, please, and leave your contact information. If you have vital information that's been hidden from the family, hidden from the public, hidden from the community about the death of Kendrick Johnson, please reach out to the KJ Foundation and leave your information. There's a tip line being put together right now. When that tip line is completed and it's ready to go, we will reveal that line to the public and share it all over America. Dad, what else would you like to say about your son's case and your son?
And I like to say something else about the GBI. There's a fracture on my son's head, and the GBI, not only that skull fracture that you can clearly see, there's taser marks, there are footprints all over my son's body. And the GBI turned a blind eye to all of that evidence. So there's no way in the world that we can afford to leave them out of something that they turned a blind eye to. She didn't report what she saw on my son's body.
Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. We really appreciate you, brother, coming forth and sharing that vital information with us. Ignoring footprints, ignoring taser marks, ignoring blunt force trauma, even when a second independent autopsy states that blunt force trauma was directly involved with the cause of death in this case. We're calling on the Department of Justice to reopen this investigation. And do not reopen it when investigators connected to the father of one of the suspects in this case, who is a retired FBI agent. We need a new set of eyes coming in from D.C. to reopen this investigation.
And we tested it, and it was blood. Now, we did DNA testing, and it was not the blood of Kendrick Johnson.
If it wasn't Kendrick blood, who blood was it?
Did you ever find out who it was or any involved?
No, as of now, we haven't, no. But it doesn't appear to be related to our crime in any way.
What do you think about the decision not to test it further?
You can't explain it. If you're running the crime scene, then you're going to say that's potential evidence. Obviously, we're going to check this out and find out who does it belong to.
This is an athletic gym. I mean, obviously, this is where they conduct various athletic classes and instructions at.
A kid couldn't have scraped their knee or arm or something and got that much blood on the wall.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 impacts.
The opinion of our crime scene personnel, after looking at it closely, the blood appeared as if it had been there for an extended period of time. It didn't appear to be very fresh.
School gym. There is no way that they would allow whoever was supposed to clean this gym to leave that blood on that wall.
And there's the question, why was there no blood where they expected to see lots of blood? Remember the photo of that shoe investigators say was inches below Kendrick's head? Look at it again.
If he was inside the Met, reaching for that shoe, inside this tube, reaching for the shoe, and the shoe is beneath him, why isn't that shoe covered with blood?
And what do you think about that shoe not being covered with blood?
It was placed there.
Hey,
Sheriff Ryan. Hi. Victor Blackwell, CNN.
Chris Pryor.
The Sheriff's Department has denied a cover-up, but we took the Johnsons' concerns to Lowndes County Sheriff Chris Prime.
Got some questions about the Kendrick Johnson
I'm
case.
not going to discuss that with you.
Why not, sir?
Because our case is closed.
The family has some concerns about why some things were not taken into evidence. There was blood on the wall.
I'm not going to discuss the case with you.
And why is that?
Because I don't want to.
Then, less than a minute after he'd invited us in,
What did you not understand that I said? I'm through talking to him.
He ushered us out.
Thank you, Sheriff Prime.
I don't believe this was an accident. I think this young man met with foul play.
The Justice Department is reviewing the pictures and the video to decide if it'll launch a federal investigation into Kendrick's death. But for Kendrick's father, the evidence is clear.
Someone murdered him. They should be in jail. They are covering it up. They should be in jail.